It all started with the camera. The first motion picture camera is often associated with the French brothers Auguste and Louis Lumiere. Although others had developed similar inventions at around the same time, what the Lumiere brothers invented was unique. It was named the cinematograph. The camera consisted of a portable motion picture camera, film processing unit, and a projector. However, the Lumiere brothers were not the first to project film. In 1891, the Edison Company successfully demonstrated the kinescope, which enabled one person at a time to view the motion pictures. Later, in 1896, Edison showed his improved Vitascope projector. This was the first commercially successful projector in the U.S. Edison and his company filmed short films in the studio named The Black Maria. It was nicknamed this due to it being made out of tar paper. The roof of the Black Maria lifted up so that the sunlight could fill the studio's black interior, and also the whole studio rotated like a large lazy Susan, so it could follow the sun throughout the day. Film shot at the Black Maria consisted of magic shows, plays, strong men, cowboys, boxing matches, and cockfights. What inspired Edison was a lecture he had seen by Edward Muybridge. Muybridge became famous after settling a bet between California businessman Leland Stanford and his colleagues. Stanford claimed that during his horse's stride, all four hooves were off the ground. He asked Muybridge to take photographs of the horse in motion. Muybridge's 12 pictures showed that Stanford had won the bet. Each one of these individuals contributed to something that would change the world. Motion pictures impacts individuals in various ways. For example, during the Great Depression, Charlie Chaplin was a very popular actor. Him and his films were very comedic. It created an escape for the harsh times people were dealing with during the Depression. His most favorited character was the tramp. The character was a representation of the everyday man. The films turned hunger, homelessness, unemployment, and the feeling of being unwanted into comedy for the people. It was a depiction of how people of America were feeling during the time. It provided relief and comfort.
It was a very impactful movie for me in that time span, for one of the first movies that I remember and could recall, because it allowed me to escape my present situation. So in that moment, yes, it was, because it was my peace, it was my joy, it was my release from reality. You know, even though everything in the movie wasn't bad, but you see the great outcome of a bad situation. So I would say in that time, yes, it was one of the most impactful movies I have seen. And I guess it still is, because I still cry about it to this day, and I still laugh on the same parts, and I love it because every part I know and I just mimic it. So absolutely, yes, very impactful movie. Hold on, let's go back. Yes, Lord, yes. I love my Lion King.
The best experience I think is laughing out loud. So that from watching films, laughing is to me the best.
Movies such as Boys Don't Cry, Brokeback Mountain, Moonlight, Radio, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Wonder Woman, Hidden Figures, The Help, Crash, and American History X give representation to previously shunned groups such as women, minority races, individuals with disabilities, and the LGBTQ community.
I would say that there has been more people that is relatable to me, as far as race that I see, which is a very proud thing. Um, you know, like I just think about Black Panther when it came out. My husband, he was just so thrilled to take my kids to see that, because they can have superheroes that they look in the TV that mirrored them and gave them a thing to say, man, I really can do this. And it wasn't something that was so far fetched that they couldn't relate to, you know. So I would say that's one. I just think that it changed because it's evolving. It's evolving to include all races and all generations, all sexes. I don't think that we have a long way to go, but we've come a long way so that people have something to say, oh man, I can do this too. And it doesn't discriminate as bad as it used to, or eliminate others from having an opportunity to have that hope when they look at television.
There were, you know, movies that have broken racial barriers. Like years and years and years ago, there was a movie called Look Who's Coming to Dinner. It was something along that title, and it was a story about a black man and an interracial couple, which was a long time ago. That was a big, big deal. And that movie's just seeing that on the big screen would have helped break down that, you know, those barriers, or at least get people the thought that, you know, it's not the end of the world.
Gosh, I come from a movie family, so we are, all uh, watching movies together. That's what we'll do in the evening. When I was younger, we used to go out every Friday, even when we were like, had no money at all. My mom would pick us up from Catholic elementary school and bring outfits that were not the uniforms, and we would all change in the back of the old van. And we would go and see a movie, even if we had to like split a cheeseburger on the way. We were getting to go to the movie, so I think it's always been a big deal for us, kind of like an escape, because the storytelling is important to us. So yeah.
As far as impact on my life that's changed who I am, I don't think there's any one. It just would be it would be a conglomeration of all the documentaries that I've seen over the years that allowed me to learn about the world outside that I wouldn't have experienced without seeing the documentary slash movie.
Okay, cool.
People get to see, you know, different cultures, like a movie called Empire of the Sun, where it 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 told the story of it might have been called The Lost Emperor or something, about a kid emperor in China and their culture and how they lived. A guy like me from Ohio would never know about that stuff unless he learned it in school. Uh,
Movies now consist of CGI, animation, editing software, and set equipment such as lights, cameras, and sound.
Well, over the years, film has changed from large lights like we have over here in the corner to smaller lights that are the size of a cell phone that can put out twice the power of those older lights and do so with battery while remaining cool, which was not always the case. Those lights got really hot. In fact, when you wrapped the film, the first thing you did was turn off your lights to give them a chance to cool down, so by the time you wrapped all your equipment, your lights could finally be cool enough to touch. But cameras have changed, acting methods have changed, and film is now more readily accessible for most people on their telephones and in all sorts of platforms. And you've got tons of streaming services. Most people have 3 or 4 streaming services going on, and film has changed like that. There are a lot more films being made.
How do you think life would be like if motion pictures were never invented?
Very bland.